Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome. Today we're diving into the answer from Quizzypedia. Season 207, question 8.
Excellent choice. This one gives us a chance to really look at the work of, well, a pretty remarkable film composer.
For sure. The category is film composers.
Okay.
And the question is, which prolific film composer, known for his iconic scores for movies such as Titanic, Braveheart, and Avatar, tragically passed away in a plane crash in 2015? His distinctive use of sweeping orchestral themes, often incorporating Celtic elements, earned him 2 Academy Awards and a reputation as one of Hollywood's greatest composers.
Right.
So the answer, of course, is James Horner.
Absolutely.
Now, what really made James Horner's work stand out, compared to other film composers, maybe we could start with his background. I mean, it wasn't like a direct path to Hollywood, right?
No, not at all. He was born in Los Angeles, California, and started playing the piano at the age of 5.
Wow.
And his family really nurtured that talent, They even moved to London so he could study at the Royal College of Music.
That's a pretty serious commitment to music education.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And after the Royal College of Music, he came back to the U.S. and got a degree in composition from USC, but his focus was already kind of shifting at that point.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't just interested in, classical music. He was drawn to film scoring.
So he had this incredible foundation in classical music, but he kind of wanted to apply it to a different way of telling a story.
Exactly. And I think, like a lot of artists starting out, he didn't just land a major film score right away, right?
Right.
His early career, he was working on lower budget films.
Right.
Which really, I think, was a crucial training ground,
Yeah, it's interesting to think about those early films. I mean, you've got Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I mean, it's a classic now, but it wasn't a guaranteed blockbuster at the time.
I know.
And then Kroll, another film he scored early on, was definitely not a sure thing.
Not a sure thing at all. But I think those projects, really gave him the experience he needed to kind of develop his own style.
And then in the mid-'80s, things start to really take off for him with Aliens and An American Tail.
Yeah, Aliens, directed by James Cameron, that was a real turning point. I mean, that's the film that earned him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Original Score.
And it's also a great example of how he used music to create, like tension and suspense. I mean, the score really just amps up the fear factor.
Yeah.
In those scenes with the alien creatures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then you have An American Tail. It's an animated film. And it shows, I think, his versatility, right? He could write a score that was both whimsical and emotionally powerful.
Yeah.
It was perfectly suited to the story of Field of the Mouse.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because already, even those early scores, we can kind of see some of the trademarks, right? The things that define Horner's style, especially, his use of recurring musical themes.
The recurring motifs, yeah, they're like musical signatures, for characters or for ideas, and they weave through the score. And I think that, they add depth and emotional resonance.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like this. If a character has a particular theme, right, associated with them, every time that theme appears, even if it's really subtle,
yeah,
it's like it reinforces their presence or their emotions, even if they're not physically there in that scene.
Right. It's subtle, but really powerful. And Horner, I mean, he was a master at using those motifs to really enhance the storytelling. He didn't just write music to accompany the film. He used the music to tell the story.
Exactly. And you could really see that mastery in 2 of his next major scores, Field of Dreams and Braveheart.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams, I think, is a really good example of Horner's ability to kind of capture the emotional core of a film. The music in that film, it isn't bombastic. It's lyrical and it's evocative, And I think it's perfectly matched to the film's themes of nostalgia and family and second chances.
Sure.
And then, in contrast to that, you have Braveheart, which is a historical epic. And so it demands, a score with grandeur and scope. And this is where we see Horner really leaning into his use of Celtic influences.
Exactly. The bagpipes, the flutes, I mean, those instruments create an immediate sense of place and time, right? They're transporting the audience to medieval Scotland.
Yeah, it's not just the sound of those instruments, right?
Yeah.
It's the way he weaves them into the orchestral fabric of the score. He creates this unique sonic tapestry that feels both epic and intimate. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And then you can't really talk about James Horner without talking about Titanic. I mean, that film became a global phenomenon. And I think it's safe to say that Horner's score played a pretty crucial role in its success.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows My Heart Will Go On, right? The theme song performed by Celine Dion, it's a powerful song on its own, but the way it's woven into the film, I mean, it's just masterful.
It really is. I think it's it's a real testament to his ability to create music that worked both within the film, and also as a standalone piece.
Right. And he won 2 Academy Awards for Titanic.
Yeah.
Best Original Score and Best Original Song.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just a hit song, right? It was a recognition of how the entire score elevated the film.
Absolutely. And the score itself, I mean, it's a masterclass in using leitmotifs, right?
Yeah.
You've got specific melodies that are tied to characters or themes,
Mm-hmm.
and they weave throughout the film, right? They add all these layers of meaning.
Like, for example, the soaring romantic theme for Jack and Rose. I mean, it's so recognizable. But then there are other, I don't know, more ominous melodies, right, that are almost foreshadowing the tragedy to come.
Exactly. And the way he blends those melodies, the way they intertwine, and sometimes they even clash,
Yeah.
It creates this sense of dramatic tension. I mean, it's incredibly effective.
And just sonically, right, the score it's so grand. It's a full orchestra. Celtic instruments like the Irish flute, even elements of New Age music. I mean, it's like he created a whole sonic world for that film.
Yeah, and it shows how versatile he was, right? I mean, he could draw from all these different musical traditions and create something completely unique.
Right. And that versatility, I think, is what makes it so interesting to kind of explore his work beyond the blockbusters. I mean, he wasn't just about epic adventures. Take Apollo 13, for instance. Really gripping story of survival in space.
And the score, I think, captures that perfectly, right? The tension, the suspense, but also a sense of, awe and wonder at the vastness of space.
You really feel the astronauts' courage and determination through the music. I mean, it's not just background music. It's really integral to the emotional experience of watching the film.
Yeah. And then you have A Beautiful Mind, which is, it's a story about a brilliant mathematician who's struggling with schizophrenia. A very different kind of film, requiring a very different approach to the score.
Absolutely. And Horner, I mean, he delivers a score that's both intellectually stimulating, and emotionally resonant. It reflects the complexities of the character's mind, right?
Yeah.
The beauty, the turnaround. I mean, it's a far cry from, the sweeping grandeur of Braveheart or Titanic, but it's equally effective.
It really is. And I think it shows, again, how he could adapt his style to the needs of the film, right? Whether it was a historical epic, a sci-fi thriller, a poignant drama, or even an animated film like The Land Before Time. I mean, Horner's music always served the story.
And speaking of animation, we can't really overlook his work on Avatar, James Cameron's groundbreaking sci-fi epic.
Avatar was visually stunning, right? And the score had to match that. I mean, Horner, he used unusual instruments, vocal techniques, and, to create this otherworldly soundscape.
He incorporated, indigenous instruments from various cultures, and he used choirs and vocal solos in a really striking way.
Yeah.
It adds this ethereal quality to the music, like a sense of mystery.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking. I mean, he wasn't afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries of film scoring. I think he wanted to create a truly immersive experience.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about the music itself, right? It was also about collaboration.
Yeah.
He wasn't just churning out scores. He was, I think he was a true partner in the filmmaking process.
His relationships with directors like James Cameron and Ron Howard, I mean, those were more than just work for hire arrangements, right? They were genuine partnerships. They were built on mutual respect and a shared vision.
For sure. He really immersed himself in the director's vision. He worked closely with him to understand the nuances of the story and the characters. I mean, he didn't just create music, right? He enhanced the storytelling.
He saw his role as integral to the filmmaking process, right? He would spend hours discussing the film with the director, dissecting the script, exploring different musical approaches.
Right. And that level of engagement, I think, is reflected in how seamlessly his scores integrate with the films. I mean, it's not just background music. It's woven into the fabric of the the narrative.
He didn't just collaborate with directors, right? I mean, he worked with a diverse range of musicians and vocalists. He would incorporate their unique talents into his scores.
He understood that a film score is a collaborative art form that benefits from the contributions of many talented individuals.
And this kind of brings us to the tragic chapter in James Horner's story, right? His untimely death in a plane crash in 2015 at the age of 61. It was a devastating loss for the film industry and for fans worldwide.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine what he might have created, if he had lived longer.
Yeah, it was a huge loss. I mean, for the entire film industry, but his music,
Yeah.
it continues to inspire us.
Definitely. I mean, his legacy, it goes way beyond, awards and accolades.
Yeah.
His scores are just, they're inseparable from the films, right? They just go together.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine Titanic without, like, that sweeping romantic theme?
No.
Or Braveheart without the stirring sound of the bagpipes?
I mean, it's hard to even imagine those films without his music.
Right.
I think, his music just elevates those films. It becomes part of our emotional memory of them.
Absolutely. And his influence, I mean, it can really be felt,
Yeah.
On other composers. He really bridged the gap between classical music and popular music.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to experiment,
Right.
To incorporate world music, electronic sounds, even avant-garde techniques. I mean, he really pushed the boundaries
Yeah.
of what a film score could be.
Yeah, I think he showed that film music, it can be more than just background noise.
Right.
It can be a powerful storytelling tool, a way to really deepen our emotional connection to a film.
Absolutely. So I guess as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what James Horner's score really stands out to you? I mean, what emotions does his music evoke for you?
Well, I think for me, Braveheart has always been a favorite. It's so powerful, so moving, and I think it really captures the spirit of Scotland,
Right.
and the use of the bagpipes. I mean, it's so evocative. It
Yeah.
really transports you to another time and place. But I think more broadly than that, I think what really stands out to me about James Horner's music is its emotional depth.
Right.
He had this amazing ability to convey a wide range of emotions through his music, from joy and love to sadness and loss. I mean, his music could make you laugh. It could make you cry. It could make you feel incredibly inspired.
I totally agree, and I think that's what makes his his legacy so enduring. I mean, he wasn't just a composer, right? He was a storyteller. He used music to connect with people on a really deep emotional level.
Yeah.
And I think that's why his music continues to resonate with audiences today. Even though he's no longer with us, his music lives on.
It really does. His work had a profound impact on film music, and I think it continues to inspire and move audiences, even today.
Well, that was an amazing look at the life and work of James Horner,
It was.
and we hope you enjoyed this deep dive.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to continue exploring the world of film music and discover the magic that great composers like James Horner bring to our
Yeah.
favorite films.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.